Well, welcome to Dark Roast and Deep Conversation. My name is Megan, and I'm your host for today. I am also the founder of A New Path, and I am a grief guide, a vocational doula, a brain spotting practitioner, and I'm a super messy human. I've spent most of my life in the messy middle between what was and what's not yet. As a Gen Xer born in 76, it seems like I came of age as what was falling apart and the world hadn't yet had what's new. So I say I'm native to this. And now I help people when they're in that messy middle space. I help them be with what is, grieve, release, and move into who they're becoming. And so this is the fourth episode of Dark Roast and Deep Conversations. And this is a little bit of the process that I help people with. So today is the first of the griefy part of the series, if you will. The first three, we talked about becoming aware. And often as people become aware and they become more in tune with what's happening inside, they discover aspects of themselves or memories or sensations that are painful. And often that necessitates grieving and mourning. And today we're going to talk about becoming a compassionate witness when that inner critic gets going. Believe it or not, the inner critic is not your enemy. I know you may be fighting me, challenging. No worries. Hang with me on this one. And then the next two after that will be about grief specific. And before I start anything, I like to come in and down with some self brain spotting as created by David Grand. I adapt it. And so if you are in a safe and secure location, I'm going to put my glasses up so you can see my eyes. We're going to do this practice together just for a couple of moments. So if you are seated, I invite you, if it's right for you and your wise body, to just allow your feet to sense the ground, the floor. If you're sitting, allow your sitting bones and your back to sense the support of the chair or sofa. And if you're lying in your bed, allow your body to feel the support of the bed, or maybe you're lying on a sofa. Just really allow your body to sense the support of ground, of chair, of bed. And then we're going to just turn to our breath and simply notice it. I tend to breathe in and out with my nose. But if you prefer your mouth, you can do your mouth, or in with the nose and out with the mouth. Right? There's no right way. There's your way. So we're just going to scan our bodies and notice where feels grounded, solid, good perhaps, or neutral. And you might notice my eyes are wanting to go over to the left. So my spot is the inside of my right foot. And just notice that spot. And if you want to close your eyes like I'm doing, do that. And if it's right for you and your body, you can open your eyes a little bit and just notice where your eyes are gazing. I'm going to have mine go where they go. You can see mine are rolled over to the side. That's my resource spot. My resource spot connects to my body resource. It's the eye position that connects to that spot in my body. And we're just going to breathe here together for a couple of moments. And on the next moment, just come back into this space and shift and move, shake it out. I often like to just kind of gently scan my environment. This is called orienting, right? Brain spotting is a lot about orienting, using our eyes to help us orient. And just notice what that is. All right. So I'm going to put my glasses back down. I'm curious if you have a little voice in your head that maybe likes to make commentary to you, at you, about you. I do. I actually heard it when we were Mine spoke when we were body resourcing, friends. Anyway, this little chatty Cathy, right? Talking about things. And for many, when we come in and down and slow down, we recognize that voice. And many of us, the voice is saying things like, what did you do? Why did you say that? What about this? How about that? Perhaps at the end of the day, a reflection on shoulda, woulda, couldas. Um, and in the personal growth and mental health community, many have started to call this voice the inner critic or the inner critical parent or all of that gets that voice gets a lot of negative press, I guess I'd say. And so I have an invitation for you if it's right. And that would be to take a moment and just ask the voice what you're here for. I'm going to give you a little story about my own. So, rewind the clock 2, 3, whatever months ago, and I had gotten a letter from the IRS related to a thing with my parents' estate, even though things have been closed for like over 2 years. There was like a statute of limitations, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, my little voice was a talking quite a lot to me. And when I stopped and I checked in and I asked her like what she was like so chatty about, what was she afraid was going to happen if she wasn't there? She told me that she was afraid that like I was going to go to jail. That like if I didn't do this, I was going to get taken away to jail. Now, that might be a little bit extreme, but my little voice when I actually spend time with her, she's like between 7 and 13 years old. She kind of varies in ages and she carries around a clipboard and she has a lot of experiences where she's been in some pretty hard situations. There have been times where she's like literally told me she's afraid we're going to die. And the reality is she's been around situations where people have died and have died unexpectedly. She's experienced a house fire. So, like, it kind of makes sense. Anyway, I invite you with your inner critic or your inner critical parent or this voice that's harsh to just check in and wonder, ask, what are you here for? What are you afraid would happen if you were to just be quiet or if you were to go away? And just see what she says or he says or they say. See what they say. Now, here's the next part, right? In personal growth and mental health circles, we often talk about that once we find that voice, this is when we offer ourselves self compassion. So, another true story for you. People my whole life have said, Megan, stop being so harsh on yourself. Be kinder to yourself. So, y'all, I have another voice. It's like dueling voices. That this voice shames this voice for speaking. And then it's like I have inner critic 1 and inner critic 2, like Dr. Seuss, thing 1 and thing 2. And so Over the last 4 years, I've really stopped and been like, "Wait a second, if we are shaming ourselves into self-compassion, that is not self-compassion." Like, that's self-shaming wearing the clothes of self-compassion. Just saying. So, if that's you and you have that happen, please know you are not alone, right? Today, I have a vat of compassion, a huge, giant pool of it. And if you need self compassion, you can borrow some of mine. Mhm. So, how do we be with this? Well, I've adapted a little bit of Kristen Neff's practice. She is a self compassion expert and she has so many good things online. So I will link to these in the show notes. Okay. But here's how I've adapted Kristen Neff's process. So you notice you are activated, that inner critic is there, which I'm going to invite you to see as a protector, right? They've been through hard times. And if you are in a woman body, or if you're in a person of color body, or if you're in a queer body, or if you're in a body that doesn't fit the norms that the society tells you you should have, often that voice is here and it's trying to keep you safe. And it doesn't mean it's 100% right. I simply want to make space for the fact that that voice is here trying to serve a thing. So if you notice that constriction or that inner rumination or that sense of wanting to shrink or that sense of like, all those things we talked about last week, you just notice. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time right now. Kristen Neff would say, I'm suffering. I'm suffering. And her second step is to recognize that that's part of the human condition. Okay. And her third step is to offer yourself compassion. And this is where I find for many people, that is too big of a step. So we need to slice it a little thinner and go maybe just a baby step. So my baby step is, and this is what I do with myself. Oh boy, here it is. I have this happening. I often put my hands on my heart because that's often where I feel it. And then I do, and you'll see my eyes just went there. I do the body resourcing. I stop even trying to have a thought or think or solve, and I just try to breathe and be in the moment. Because I know if that voice or those dueling voices are there, that I am like at or right over my limit. I have spent all of my pennies for the day, and or I only have a few pennies left. And I breathe. And I do this maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Right? I'm ADHD, which means sometimes when I'm in a jacked up place like this, I cannot sit and do a hardcore long meditation. I will go, but I can do 2 to 3 minutes. And you might need 30 seconds or 60 seconds. You do you. Let me know. So, so the home play for this week is just this, right? Coming, noticing, being with, and body resourcing. So, I like to end with a poem. This week, I am ending with a poem by poet Andrea Gibson. They are an amazing poet. They have a lot to teach about living. They died in this last year. Their work lives out beyond them, and They died with a terminal cancer diagnosis, and they had the courage to share their journey. So, if you are somebody who's curious about living in a courageous way, facing mortality, and how actually sometimes that can give you life, I highly recommend checking out Andrea's work. This poem is called Spider. All of my pain is a spider. I've learned not to crush with the heel of my shoe, but guide with a page of my journal into an empty glass. I ask questions about its life, its purpose, as I walk careful out to the garden and rest it down on the earth. My pain, how happy it is to leave me whenever I treat it kind. Mm. In a nutshell, there you have it with that voice, treating it like that spider. So, friends, as you go about your week, may you know when that voice gets going, one, you are not alone. You did no thing wrong. That voice is here to protect you. And being with it, much like Andrea is with the pain and the spider, that slowing down and being with that pain is the first step. It's the gift you can give yourself. And if you need to borrow self-compassion, you can do that from me. And until next week, where we will be getting into grief, part 1, may your dark roast be rich. And if it's cold iced tea, may that be refreshing. And may your conversation with yourself and others be deeply meaningful, compassionate, and perhaps a little irreverent. Blessings, peace, and namaste.